changes happening around the world. That must also the airlines. How will they affect their
probably get insights of this. So that part of grow and successful on the mindset and change with itself. They must same one or question after self the parent that come artificial intelligence there to meet people to deliver a package yesterday or from today. People so much shopping. And currently, pharma and life sciences are now hot of they are hot of transportation catching public eye and interest. Yet if I look at the past weeks of the operation, a lot of flowers were sent the Valentine's of this world. So here's my tip to all listeners, and I think everybody who's listening to our conference, it is this coming Sunday, so grab the coffee, make the walk once extra special on that special day, and we can do so long. But no matter how fancy or fine the sex products are, none have any value if operational excellence business, a global network, and the delivery of such value trade is not planned for the future instead of the past. So, supply chains are expected to the most of time and if the better the higher so the focus excellence beyond the elements of tribe, there is a culture of passion by clients up and down the supply chain to discover this case. The upcoming opening of the smarties, the world's most advanced hub, and our ongoing investments in technology, and especially our investments in human capital, are testament of ambition to be that differentiator in this type of market. So a complex answer to a complex question. Prepare for the future and looking a decade ahead, it's investment in technology, network, and people that will help us sustain that.
Very good. Thank you very much. So, stressing the importance on the operational excellence with these changes. Let me shuffle the sequence of questions, and I go back to Peter again. Peter, give us an insight about how the demand and supply, the balance between demand and supply, you think will change. I mean, there was talk about the fact that demand will grow and the nature of it will change. But how be balanced against the supply?
Let's open my crystal ball.
Yes.
Because that is the thing, and especially after the pandemic, to manage that, and again, we are still using that COVID. But at the end of the day, we are now close to a year already. As what we saw happening in March or slightly before March last year. No, of course, it will have a big impact because capacity still is an issue. GDP in most of the countries are growing, so that means that people save a lot of money, but they want to spend money, so that's human behavior. So a lot of companies are having discussions at the end of last year. Hopefully, passenger network is coming back, so capacity is coming back. So from a shipper's perspective, when we started to have the dialogues, what will have the impact of the vaccine movement? Will it be as big as Marco and the team said in August, but also they see now that we are in 2021 that the impact was not as big as we expected mathematically in August of previous year. But it had impact in the perception on how to secure capacity in 2021 from a freight forwarder perspective, but also for sure from a shipper perspective, because they saw they were confronted with a huge increase in spend. And how do they deal with that in 2021 by creating the new budget when they have to deliver their logistics budgets for 2021? There you will see for sure that some big shippers will try to reach out to airlines themselves and try to secure business. If they manage that capacity, yes or no, that is a different discussion. But they try to find answers from carriers if there is sufficient capacity to uplift by cargo. And you will see that some of the bigger freight forwarders and even some niche players will start to have dedicated flights and reach out to commercial carriers if there would be a possibility to have their own capacity in the market so that they can serve their customers as promised and on a consistent way of quality. And then, or point out clearly, it can only be successful when we are on the perfect condition to deliver the needs that the market is looking for. And you need to come up with a structure that people feel comfortable when it comes to the race. And that is proven in 2020. That was sometimes a very difficult aspect. There was not sufficient capacity in certain days or certain months. And we believe that that will continue. So you need to come up with a plan. How do you serve your customers and how do you quantify that service back to the price offer you do to them? And that will have impact for the entire year because the third wave of COVID, we all thought the passenger network was coming back much quicker. We don't see that happening in the next few months. So still continuing in finding capacity at the right time for the right price. And that will be the discussions in the upcoming weeks, months for both freight forwarders as shippers.
Very good, Peter. Thank you very much. Lots of pressure on the demand patterns will change, and the supply chain behind must change as well. Marco, what do you think?
Yes, the supply chain will definitely change. We noticed last year in particular, but it's a sign of time overall that when demand and supply are not in sync, as we tend to call it, then strange things happen. We see it especially last year. But with so much supply going out, that demand and supply were really powerful, and that basically causes all kinds of major disruptions in the industry. So then. What would that mean for the longer term, right? I mean, your original question is right. Hey, for the next 10 years, what does that mean? I would tend to agree quite a bit, actually, Peter, that on the capacity side, even in the midterm or so, we will be seeing constraints. We are anticipating that, especially the wide body belly space, doesn't return at level of 2019 in a very short time frame. So if you know that, that means that this unequilibrium, if you will, between demand and supply will be there. So that's one capacity constraints, and that will have a major impact on how to organize things. The second one is something that JC alluded to, and I tend to call it the acceleration towards e-commerce. E-commerce trend was definitely happening. It was already growing double digits over the years before COVID. We would anticipate that to continue. But now since COVID, if you didn't have a workshop before, you better have one now, because otherwise everything's closed, right? So you see a lot of not only big shippers and big retailers, but also the small ones. They are now going omni-channel and making sure that selling online is a fundamental piece of your business. And so it has to accelerate, and I would expect it to continue to accelerate in many different ways. And consequently, that means how you organize your distribution changes with it, right? You don't need to go to the store anymore. You have a certain location distribution center where you basically sustainability, and not so much for transportation industry themselves, but more for the goods that are being transported. We know that we're going more into electric cars, and if you have an electric car, you need a lot more semiconductors to be able to operate an electric car compared to a traditional car. At the same time, we have more semiconductors for this. The whole industry is depending on the motor. It be found by here out of some new markets that we talked about before, China, Southeast Asia. So again, capacity constraints is a major factor, which means different supply chains, the acceleration of e-commerce, which will drive how we organize to our supply chains from a distribution perspective, and the acceleration of certain goods flying by air due to sustainability.
Walter, do you agree with that?
Yeah, to a large extent, I agree. Of course, if you look within 10 years' time, I am somewhat of a different opinion. In all the models we see is that air cargo demand, as I just said, is a derived demand. It is forecasted to grow 2 to 4% a year. Of course, in Asia, it will grow faster than Europe and the United States, but generally 2 to 4% in that range, and that really depends on and so on. So that is for sure. On the other side, if you look at the supply and the capacity being offered in the market is mainly passenger driven. As Peter was also saying, for the moment indeed we don't see passenger flights, and it will probably take 3, 4, maybe 5 years before we back on track. But the forecast for passengers growth is 4 to 6%. Once again, Asia on the higher side, China, Asia, and some countries probably grow faster. So we may also not forget that we have more and more wide-body aircraft, which are cargo-friendly, coming into the market. Cargo-friendly 747, A380s are being replaced by smaller aircraft, which are more cargo-friendly, 787, A350, and so on. So you also have to look at the passenger flows. And in 6 to 10 years' time, you really see these passenger flows taking off. You really see this capacity coming back onto the market, even faster than the cargo growth. So all the models show that we get out of that capacity squeeze. And then, of course, you have another variable which we have talked about, is the oil price. The oil price remains low. All forecasts for that the oil price will remain low over the next time. Then you will see even older aircraft, so so I see a capacity increase, and I increase faster than the demand for cargo, which means that the golden time which you have for the moment might disappear from that on which side go on. So don't think about, wow, it's great. 3, 4 years time, things might change, and 10 years time for sure, we have a capacity growth which is significantly higher than the cargo growth. Of course, so there's some underlying positive factors, as JC was saying. You have the e-commerce. Not forget as well, we talk about cross-commerce in Europe and the US. We have lots of domestic e-commerce. In Asia, you have intra-Asian cross-border e-commerce. So I tend to agree, yes, in the short term. In the midterm, yes, as well, with Marco, but in the longer term, definitely see capacity or pricing demand. Again, a phenomenon which was that will continue.
Very good. I love it, but there are different opinions, and that makes a good quality webinar, I think. Thank you very much, Walter, and we will no doubt discuss about that a little bit more.
10 years time, Ahmed. The recording.
Yes, we will look at Peter's crystal ball. I think you will.
That's an important element, man. I totally think differently about that. I don't think that passenger aircraft will come back that rapidly. First of all the airlines who went into the COVID times, they will reduce the fleet, earlier retirement of aircraft because of cost, the cash flow situation of a lot of airlines. Then the passengers can grow. Which airlines will be then growing in which part of the world? and will that facilitate in a general growth of air freight capacity availability? I don't see that happen that quickly. So I'm slightly more pessimistic when it comes to that. So that the cargo capacity needed will be for at least the next 5, 6, 7 years being under scrutiny. Because who can afford buying those expensive aircraft to offload those passengers and getting back the aircraft that were already pre-COVID flying? I think they are still on the right number
No
of
one
aircraft
can afford to buy
optimize the load
that
factors
kind of
the majority of the airlines. So
cargo
I
airplane,
really have to see if that will happen.
because it is very
The way
expensive.
I look at this is when I see such big experts having slightly differing opinions, then I would say to the shippers, be careful and think for two scenarios, both of the scenarios. Capacity is outgrowing or being less than the growth of demand. So I think it looks like there are differing opinions, which is very good. So we are not looking at the future, see the future that well. 10 years ago, who would have guessed UK would be not part of Europe? Things happen, so it is. There will be different opinions. It's very good. So I think we talked reasonably reasonable amount on the demand and demand patterns. But what about the infrastructure? So JC, how will the future airports, cargo systems look like? I mean, Turan talked about smartest. So will that be the trend? What will the future cargo facilities look like in airports as well?
Now, so if you are looking at the longer term horizon of 10 years beyond, I'm a firm believer that the airport will continue to play an important role, not even more important role. As an orchestrator, we develop a vibrant, agile, and sustainable air cargo ecosystem in each of our air cargo hubs. So if you ask me how the future air cargo logistics hub would be different from today, a couple of points. I believe that the new technologies will emerge. Today, we have already seen new capitalization of machine learning, AI, the IoT, the robotics. These technologies will mature and new technologies will emerge, further automate our cargo processing capabilities and also to enhance supply chain efficiency. And earlier, Peter talked about integrators. In a few years' time, I think even now, I believe that the meaning of integrators are also being redefined. If we see e-commerce giants like Amazon and Alibaba, they are in the process of gaining full control of the entire supply chain, including air cargo and passenger as well. And I also like to bring up that with the rise of the sharing economy, I think we are very used to ordering food online and ordering car rides. So with this, new operating models will also emerge. So instead of independently owned facilities and services, perhaps shared facilities and services will become the new norm in the longer horizon. So just to share a bit, in Singapore, we are currently planning for our future air logistics hub ready sometime in 2030, alongside with our passenger terminal. And with all this evolving and fast-changing supply chain trends that we just talked about, I think there are a couple of learning points that we learned along the way. I think first and foremost, while we need to plan early and try to anticipate the future, there should always be flexibility being embedded onto our master plan to allow all of us to be nimble as well as agile. And I think it's also very important that the community comes together, take on a very simple approach when it comes to logistics hub planning. Air cargo stakeholders, both the public and private. Now, coming back to the e-commerce, right? Not only warehouse processes need streamlined and need to be modernized, but not forgetting we also need to look at every touch point of the supply chain, including cargo security, custom processes, and even border control processes. the last point that I like to make is that I also believe that the airports are well placed to digitally connect the different stakeholders in the air cargo supply chain and create a very safe environment for different stakeholders to share data, enhance overall supply chain capability. So before I pass back to you, Ahmed, I just want to reinforce that time is up. In fact, maybe it's happening right now. End-to-end visibility no longer a good to have, but it's going to be a must-have.
Must-have, it will be. Yes, indeed. JC, thank you very much. Now, my attention goes more and more towards the future, and I want to imagine how it will look like. So, Dr. Kaur, what are your thoughts on that one? I want to talk about the fixed-wing drones for the future. Do you think that will be a future? I mean, that will probably give the flexibility that JC is talking about, the agile and nimble supply chain. Do you think the fixed-wing drones will be something of the future?
Well, I think this is an enticing question. It's great to see those different views all around the center peak, and I think it's a great discussion. And looking ahead, I actually hope we can invite all the comments smartest when it's finished, and let them continue that discussion sitting together at the same room and keeping us up. That would be great. But in this world, there is a lot we know, but then a lot more that we don't know. And humanity does not know for sure what it doesn't know. And in that light, one can say that making a prediction continues to be difficult, especially where it concerns the future. And obviously, this saying comes from Winston Churchill, referring to your Brexit part. No one could envisage that 10 years ago. However, what we do know that there are elements that are being set in motion to make our world more connected, as Jason said, end to end, both from a technological as a social point of view. And both worlds are touching each other with higher frequency and intensity. So, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and so on. And drones are an example where we see that happening more and more, and up to a point where next fixed-wing drones for maybe the large distances, up to smaller drones for final deliveries and or express deliveries within a certain range and time. That could become a reality. And then there are some countries that say, well, that first delivery drone is already there. Big white bird that is delivering people on day. And I noted that McKinsey organized a webinar a couple of weeks on this subject, and that first was clear that there is value in the deployment for a particular route, particular shipments to take drone. As for the mainstream air cargo, I don't think that drones will replace the complex orchestration, freighter, and embedded capacity that is interactively adapted to a constant change in demand, driven by technology, seasonality, or as we are experiencing, the global effect of that. So drones for the future, yes. How exactly is best applied? What is the best dimension, weight, radius, and what piece of freedom do they need or can be allowed to operate? All these questions that we answering, and these answers can only be got through trial and error. And to me, that proves again that air cargo is one of the most exciting business domains that will keep on evolving. That's I hope.
Dr. Kaur, thank you very much. I'm sort of imagining the sky is full of fixed-wing drones, where I don't know whether I will live to see that site as well. So you are saying yes for the future, but there are a lot of questions.
And there will be restrictions, because this is also to do with an unmanned vehicle, basically cruising along our airskies. We don't know what's on board, we don't know where it's going. There's a lot of questions that we can answer on that one. And I think the first step will be for the smaller delivery drones, is that much more controlled environment, and that will be the first step to how and what it can be applied.
Thank you very much. Well, very interesting stuff was said in this panel. I had seen